You're listening to Black Parents Aging, where we help you navigate caring for aging loved ones. Every Wednesday, we'll discuss how to help your parents successfully navigate this new season of life. We are going to talk about legal, health, technology, and finances. Here's your host attorneys, Olivia Smith and Nicola Robinson.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Black Parents Aging. I am so delighted to have you. I am your host, Nicola Robinson with the SR Law Group, and we are here today to talk about something that our aging parents face. And I have to admit, this is something that I deal with. So I know most of the times on the podcast, we talk about kind of some of the legal stuff, but we also sprinkle in some of the health stuff. So we bounce back and forth between health and legal topics. Today is a health topic, and it is the word insomnia. Your parents may be dealing with insomnia. Like I said, I'm guilty of it. I deal with it as well. So I wanted to start off with just the definition. The Sleep Foundation says that insomnia is a persistent difficulty to fall or remain asleep despite the opportunity to do so. That sums me up entirely. I really struggle with staying asleep. So there are two types of insomnia. And if you don't know these medical terms, you can probably guess what they are based on just the definition. So there's the I can't fall asleep type of insomnia. And this one is called sleep onset insomnia. And then there's the I can't stay asleep insomnia, which is called sleep maintenance insomnia. So the I can't stay asleep insomnia is probably the most common form in elderly sleepers. And they may fall asleep quickly, but then they wake up and they're not able to sleep for hours. And in fact, yesterday was one of our clients' 99th birthday. Yes, y'all, 99. She was telling me about living through World War II and the 60s. And she was like, when you get to 99, there's really not a lot to do. And she was talking about how she was also struggling to stay asleep. And she was telling me how she woke up like super early and then was just kind of up and sitting around because in 99, it's not really a whole lot that, she's gearing up to do with her day. So she said her days were very long because of her struggle with sleep. So this is something that is definitely affecting people as they age. So a lot of times when people are not able to stay asleep, then you'll see the next day they're tired. Sometimes they're irritable and they may have a hard time like staying awake during the day. So that's when you see them start like taking naps and kind of dozing off throughout their daily activities. And so insomnia really is a very common issue. We sometimes kind of gloss over it, but according to the Psychiatric Times, sleep disorders are highly prevalent in the older population, and they frequently are encouraged in psychiatric and primary care to really look into sleep disorders. Insomnia affects about 31% to 38% of adults ages 18 to 64, but that number goes up much higher between the ages of 65 to 79. Now you're looking at 45% of adults are affected by insomnia. And from what the science and the research shows, women tend to have a higher incidence of insomnia than men. So women are out here not sleeping, y'all. And I don't know, I'm biased, I guess, because I am a woman, but that's not new news. I feel like women are always doing the most. We got a lot on our plate. So, and it saddens me a little bit to know that even in older age, I'm probably still not going to be able to sleep. So why is sleep so important? Like, why does this matter? A lot of people can't sleep, so you're probably thinking no big deal. So the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Strokes have said in recent studies that sleep plays a housekeeping role that removes toxins in our brain that build up while we are awake. So that's the time for your brain to purge and to heal and to like really get itself together. So when you can't sleep, it's harder to concentrate and it's harder to function throughout your day. And so if you think about an aging brain is already, probably dealing with a lot, it cannot remove those toxins. It makes it that much harder for your parents to concentrate and to function. So you may not think about your parents' insomnia because sometimes they may not even tell you about it. Like, especially if you're not living in the house with them, this might be something that you kind of have to start looking and being an investigator and see what's going on with them. So you might notice that, they're daytime napping or they're tired all the time, suffering from fatigue, or you may ask if they're sleeping okay. Like just, casually ask to see what they're going to say in terms of what's going on with their sleep. So when we talk about insomnia, we're not, talking about this one-off event of I can't sleep. You saw a scary movie and now you up too late. No, this is usually a reoccurring sleep problem. And that's when you know it's more of a sleep disorder as opposed to just a one-time event. So be mindful of that. Your parents say, oh, I didn't get enough sleep last night. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a sleep disorder. See if it's a situation where they're constantly or they're frequently telling you that they're not sleeping very well. So if they're having trouble sleeping, you see that they're being irritable or they're starting to sleep throughout the day, that might be the cues that you need to look into this, a little bit more. So I also want to kind of give a little bit of a quick disclaimer, like, let's be clear. I'm a lawyer. I am not anybody's doctor. I am doing the research. We are not neurologists. We're not sleep experts. I just, I like to know what's going on with aging parents and aging adults. And I like to share that information with you guys. So I also always encourage you to do your own research and to read up on any of the topics that we talk about on this show. So if you have medical questions or concerns, that is definitely something that you want to talk to your healthcare provider, your parents' healthcare providers about. So let's talk a little bit. Why is insomnia a problem among the elderly? The Sleep Foundation says that a chronic lack of sleep or even getting poor quality sleep increases the risk of disorders that include high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, depression, and even obesity. So you see that while it may just seem not that serious on the outside, it may just be like, oh, okay, they're not sleeping. But if left untreated and this becomes a chronic problem, it can also lead to some of these other things. It increased the risk of high blood pressure. I don't know about you, but I don't know that I would have naturally thought that lack of sleep could have any bearings on high blood pressure or even depression and diabetes. I could see obesity because maybe you're up and you're, eating some stuff, but cardiovascular disease, I would have never associated that with a lack of sleep. So that's really, really kind of scary if you think about it. But here's another thing. Insomnia is also linked to dementia. And y'all have heard me talk about dementia. I've had multiple guests on the show about dementia. I think that we all need to really educate ourselves more about dementia. So I am always trying to get more information out to our communities, especially communities of color, about dementia and what it's doing in our community. So there was an article published in, let me see, when was this? October of 2020 in the Journal of Neuroinflammation. I did not know that was a thing, y'all, but it is. And the title of this article was The Effect of Insomnia on the Development of Alzheimer's Disease. And it referenced the studies that, I'm talking about. And it really suggests that sleep deprivation and insomnia are associated with the development of Alzheimer's disease. Whew, let that sink in, y'all. Let that sink in. Sleep deprivation and insomnia are associated with the development of Alzheimer's. So we really need to be thinking about getting good quality sleep and the amount that we really need, not just some quick power naps. So, and of course, there is more information looking at how insomnia specifically affects African Americans. So there's not a lot of information. I think people are really just now starting to see if there is any type of correlation between race and insomnia. But we already know from previous episodes that there is definitely a correlation between race and dementia. So, it may be natural to assume that there might be something that's out there. We just haven't seen the data yet. There was another article published the Brain Science Journal. I am loving all this research. It just lends some credibility to some of the stuff that we tell you about. And again, like I said, do your research. But in that Brain Science Journal, which I think came out in 2019, yep, it's another journal, Brain Science. And it says it really looked at the specifics of groups of people. And the article was entitled Insomnia Symptoms Among African American Adults in Economically Disadvantaged Areas of South Los Angeles. The doctors that published the article did say that the review studies had shown that African Americans exhibited more risk factors for insomnia when compared to white Americans. Okay, don't take all these studies for face value because you're also talking about economically disadvantaged people, especially in South Los Angeles, where, we've seen there's some other factors and some other issues that might be going on. People may not be sleeping for a number of reasons. So just something to take into consideration. But when you go back to the data, it's a lot to digest. Sleep disorders are very common among people with dementia, but people with sleep deprivation and insomnia may be more likely to develop dementia. So it's really a double-edged sword. You have sleep issues, more likely to get dementia. You get dementia, you definitely gonna have sleep issues. So just something that we need to even take into consideration when we start talking to our parents about, if they don't already have any signs or symptoms, but things that they can do to be preventative and things that they can look into, because they need to also think about treating whatever's causing the insomnia that they're experiencing. To make matters worse, some of the most frequently prescribed insomnia medications, like benzodiazepine, that's it, benzodiazepine, I think I've seen that somewhere, they are also associated with higher risk of dementia. So even a medication that you can take for insomnia may be a risk factor when it comes to being diagnosed. These drugs can also cause physical dependency. And so that's the issue if they are taking these drugs for insomnia for a long period of time. So that creates a whole nother set of problems. And they can be deadly with taken with alcohol, like most drugs. So if your parents are not sleeping and are trying to just come up with ways to help them with sleep, and they are taking something like benzodiazepine, could be a problem, guys, and just something that you need to think about and something that you should be made aware of. So besides those side effects that I just talked about sleep medications, the Alzheimer's Association says that non-drug coping strategies should always be tried. So here are some things to think about. Talk to your parents about maintaining regular schedules for their meals, for when they go to bed and for when they wake up, as well as regular exercise. Exercise is always going to be the magic bullet, the magic pill. There are just so many benefits from exercise. And so we want to encourage our parents to exercise. Consider talking to them about avoiding alcohol, caffeine, and nicotine. Those are stimulants that keep you awake. And I know that from personal experience, because like I said, I struggle with sleep. And if I have caffeine, it is not, oh, I'm taking something to just stay awake for a little while. No, I will be up for weeks. And so I am very, very cautious about my caffeine intake. Like the consequences of caffeine for me are just too great. I need some sleep. And also talk about or think about keeping a regular bedroom temperature. That also helps. And sleep studies and all stuff shows that when you have a consistent, sometimes slightly colder space, that's when you are better able to sleep. And so, as we talked about, insomnia can have many causes, but for some people, regulating a regular routine, changing your bedtime habits may actually stop insomnia and prevent it from being a chronic problem. Nothing wrong with trying these tips and see if they work. These are not addictive, these are not medication. So, regular exercise, just try it. I know that adding exercise, when I'm not sleeping well, I usually get up and go for a walk. I start adding exercise back into my routine, and it almost always helps me. So, something to think about. Keep in mind that insomnia can also be the symptoms of something bigger. Like there might be something else going on with your parents. It could be a symptom of depression. And we've talked about that a little bit, but we've definitely talked about loneliness. And it can be a symptom of loneliness. Not to mention, from what we've just talked about, it can be a symptom of dementia itself. Insomnia could be a side effect of some of the medications that your parents might be taking. And so that's all something to just take into consideration. All this to really just say, if your parents are having trouble sleeping, don't brush it under the rug. Don't just kind of trivialize it and think, oh, well, they have to take a nap during the day and think that that's the solution, because it's not. It's time to listen and observe. Insomnia should be recognized as an illness and actually discussed with a doctor. Even though insomnia is common, being tired every day is not a normal part of aging. Understand that. So if your parents are complaining about always being tired, that's not a symptom of aging. So that should be your first clue that something else might be going on. All right, y'all. That's all I have for you today. I am so grateful again for y'all for joining us. I hope you find this very helpful. Maybe it made you think a little bit. Maybe now you'll start having a conversation, find out a little bit more about your parents and their sleep patterns. Again, something I know probably is often overlooked and not really being talked about. All right. I hope you use this information and be a detective and help your parents out. As always, we love to get feedback, guys. We love it. We love it. We love the feedback. We love the comments. We love the questions. You guys have been fantastic. I get my ideas for show topics from you guys and from some of the things that people write in and ask me about. So if you have any experience with insomnia or a story you would like to share with us, we love stories. We love examples. And I think that other people benefit from examples. So if your family has had to deal with something, share the information in hopes that another family either understand and learn from your experience or they figure out how to avoid something that you may have had to deal with. This is a completely judgment-free zone. We're here to listen and we're always here to talk about these tough conversations. So let's just do it. Only way we can help our parents is to actually take the time and have the conversations and to actually get information. So you can always connect with us on Facebook and on Instagram. Okay, that's it. Talk to y'all later, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Black Parents Aging, where we help you navigate caring for aging loved ones. Every Wednesday, we'll discuss how to help your parents successfully navigate this new season of life. We are going to talk about legal, health, technology, and finances. Here's your host attorneys, Olivia Smith and Nicola Robinson.